Hello and happy pre-New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, happy Boxing Day. Thank you for hanging out with me for Mari's Golden Hour. I am Mari. So, happy all of that. Boxing Day, not a day where people punch each other in the face, but in fact, one of those days that other countries celebrate. We don't. I'm guessing because of the origins. So, I mean, I don't know. There are other ways to go about this, but it's all about the wealthy homeowners giving the service staff presents on that day. I think maybe even sometimes giving them the day off, and those servants can go back to their homes and give boxes of presents to their own loved ones, and because they didn't have to worry about cleaning up after the homeowners on Christmas Day. Yay! Huzzah! Anyway, so Christmas, how was yours? Mine was, it ranged from being fulfilling and reflective to being sad and weepy to just being like, all right, to being hopeful and filling and fulfilling. I started off on a, I don't want to say a high note, but then, up here, my hand is up in the air. And then I just heard a sad tune on the radio, and my sister sent me it wasn't even a text, it was more of like one of those cartoon memes of what you would look like in cartoon form. I have no idea how people do that. I'm sure it's relatively easy, but I just don't know about it and haven't bothered to delve into that. But anyway, it was cute. It was a cute meme of her celebrating Christmas, and that in turn with like hearing this kind of sappy song, it made me weepy and start crying, and I think I remained weepy and in weepy mode most of Christmas. Yeah, if not, I don't want to say all of Christmas, but the big bulk of Christmas Day yesterday I spent kind of sad and just listening to more tunes that tugged at the heartstrings, and I was trying to finish cooking and baking, and would just have to put myself on pause and just allow myself to cry and do that release. But it's the first Christmas without my mom, and that just it made me sad. And so what else did I do? I cried. I tried to do a little bit of cleaning and organizing and shifting things around and figuring out how I want to be in my space, and did some baking, did some cooking. I was prepping on these dinner rolls that I usually make every year. Typically I'll make like a batch for Thanksgiving and one for Christmas, just because of all the parties that I have to go to, and it is a request. And but this year, no parties. Well, I'm sure there were parties, but I did not go. And so I just made the rolls for myself, and there are a lot of rolls, but that's what the freezer's for. So, but I decided to make myself a Thanksgiving meal, and it was one that I could make and then freeze for later, because there's no way, number one, there's no way I can eat a whole turkey by myself in one sitting. No way. Maybe if I were forced to, if it was a life and death situation, I'd figure it out, but even then, I can only eat so much. I made a whole bunch of eggnog cookies, and there are a buttload of cookies as well. I don't know if I can freeze cookies. I should be able to freeze them, but I didn't think to freeze the dough. I thought about it briefly, but it quickly left my head, and I probably should have frozen that dough and saved it for later. But lessons learned for another time. Anyway, so I had that, and the rolls and the cookies were both healthy-ish. I had healthy in mind. Basically with the rolls, I just didn't drench them in butter, and I used a wheat flour. And with the eggnog cookies, how they are healthy-ish. I'm not a fan of frosting. I definitely don't like the sugary frostings, and even with icing, like I don't like a lot of icing on things. It has to be like, I don't know, maybe like a cream cheese or a whipped something or other. I just don't like that sugary icing on stuff. So I was trying to figure out if there was some sort of a substitute, because most icing calls for confectioner sugar, and I didn't want to get that, because the last time that I bought some, I think I used either a couple of tablespoons or a half a cup, or at most like a cup of confectioner sugar and whatever it was that I needed. And that bag sat in my pantry for eons, because I don't eat things that I would make that involve confectioner sugar. And I knew like back in the olden times, they didn't have confectioner sugar right off the bat. They had to create their icing some sort of way. And lo and behold, there do exist recipes for that sort of thing. So I made this, an icing without the confectioner sugar from scratch. And I crafted it into an eggnog icing to go on top of the eggnog cookies. And I gotta tell you, they're actually pretty good. There are things that I would likely do the next time around just to tweak it a little bit. I need to figure out how to make it less cakey and more cookie-y. And I know that I'm sure there's a way to do it, or maybe I whipped something a little too much. Weigh in on that if you happen to be listening to this particular episode. Otherwise, I guess I'll use the McGoogle methods and figure it out. Let's see. So what else did I unwrapped gifts and cards that were sent to me yesterday, and I had fun doing that. And did some solstice yoga. I talked to my brother and just caught up with him because we hadn't talked in a while. And we're also, me and my siblings are doing a little bit of reconnecting, and which it's the one benefit of my mom's passing is that our family is reconnecting again. So so it's just been kind of cool catching up and just getting to know my siblings again. And so I ended up sharing some wellness info with him, which actually I'll share with you as well. So actually, I believe I already have done this. It's if you go to Podbean, I don't know if you're listening to this podcast via Podbean or via my YouTube channel, but on Podbean, if you go there, they do a search for podcasts, and if you type in, I believe, Wellness Week or Podcast Wellness Week, you'll one of the pop-ups, it should be the very first one, if not like within the top few. It has it's a white background with green lettering, and that is what you click on, and it has a whole week's worth of a bunch of podcasts that were live on air or live for podcasting each day of that week. And one of them, among many that have just a bunch of gems that they drop, this one was a podcast hosted by Lauren, I think it's Vecnine or Vecnine. It's called Reconditioned. That is the name of her podcast. And this particular episode, it's titled The Real Meaning of Spirituality. Her guest host for this episode was Jay Shetty, and his name, it looks familiar, but I'm not familiar with him. But I guess he's a big deal in the whole wellness community, so check it out. One of the many gems that he dropped is something that I think it's in a book that he wrote, and it's I can't remember what led up to this, like if it's like what inspires him or how does he get inspired, or how does he stay excited and interested in life? It's something along those lines, I think. He mentioned it is 3 L's, and he said that it's learn, launch, and love. And he says each year he does something with those L's. Like each year he will learn something new, he will launch something new, and he will love something new. No, actually take out the something new. So each year he will learn something, launch something, and love something. And his examples that he used, I believe, if I remember correctly, sorry for my poor memory on this one, but he mentioned examples of applying these L's to his work, or maybe videotaping, or humor in whatever he's doing. But you could apply it to anything in your life. And so, when I mentioned this to my brother, he was like, "Whoa, yeah, I like that. That's, yeah, that's really great." And it's like it lit off a light bulb within him. So, which I thought was cool. It's like, oh, yay, this is awesome. Yeah, it's something that I had already planned on doing myself. I feel like I do it in little ways, maybe every month or every day I try to think of something, but I think I want to make this like a conscious effort. This is what I'm going to do this year. And it's going to involve the 3 L's, among many other things. But, yeah, he said this, among some other things. He just mentioned stuff that, at least for me, it was either something new that I hadn't thought of before, or maybe it's things you thought of before, but it's reworded in such a way that it gives you a fresh perspective on it, or just basic reminders. And it's reminders about compassion and being open and being excited, and yeah, just stuff like that. The other episodes on this podcast week that, again, just as entertaining and interesting. Some, more than others, but even the ones that aren't as interesting, I still glean something from it. And it just reminds me to meditate more, or meditate, period. And that's what I have been doing. And just working to make it more of a daily practice as opposed to once every few days or so, or every few weeks. And I may or may not do it every day. I at least have it on my mind, or at least I think about it every other day or so. But again, work in progress. And so yeah, just definitely check that out if you can, because they posted like just a wide variety of different subjects that week. And there's people that may be more known than others. And one I randomly came across is his last name is Durek, D-U-R-E-K, and he is a shaman. And I don't know if the podcast was titled this, or if he has a podcast, but it's Ancient Wisdom Today. And I remember reading a book of his, and I can't remember if that was the title, or if it was something else. But this particular episode, it was healing on all levels, and it began to sound as if it was like a meditative thing. And at the time, I was driving, so there was just no way I was going to listen to it then. Also, another one I came across, I'm trying to remember the name of this guy, but it's, actually, I might have to save this for next week, because darn it, I can't remember the name of it. It's, basically, his nickname is Scooter, but darn it, I can't remember the guy's name. But it's a podcast that it's like, that helps you sleep. And it's really like, I guess it is just him going on and on and on, much like I do. But his goal is just to, hey, here's this podcast. This is to help you go to sleep. It's something to sleep by. You don't have to listen to it. It's not that deep, and it's just to fall asleep to something. And I'm pretty sure that's all that it is. And I listened to the whole thing. So, and because I listened to it thinking like, oh, well, surely there's going to be like a turn here someplace, or maybe I'll learn something from it. And his episode was about the Great British Bake Off. So I thought, well, there's maybe some sort of holistic whatever that was in that episode, or maybe it was a method of baking that was soulful. And from what I heard so far, no. It was the guy introducing himself and just kind of rambling on, and even he would be the first to admit that he was rambling on, and he broke down what the structure of the show is, and he even said that, for some people, they don't like it, they don't get it, they don't understand it, but they listen to it maybe 2 or 3 times, and then they get it. And so, yeah, I think he spent maybe the first 5 minutes just introducing himself, another maybe 15 or 20 rambling about the structure and the format of the show, I think. And then the last part of it was he was recapping an episode of the Great British Bake Off. And that's it. And I'd never watched this show. I have plenty of friends who have, and I'm sure there are collective gasps because I've never seen the show, but I've never watched it. I am aware roughly, actually, I wasn't even quite sure what the exact premise was until a friend in recent months brought it up to me. And then even after he explained it, I still don't get why people love it so much. But whatever, hey, to each their own, and more power to everyone for having something that they like. So, yeah, I'll try to remember what this guy's name is, but really overall, it's like I think most podcasts, or some podcasts, where you put it on so you can have some sort of noise in the background while you're doing other stuff. And maybe whatever it is that you need to learn, or either your brain needs to know it, your soul needs to know it, your body needs to know it, whatever it is, it kind of peeks out from the blah, 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 and you latch onto that, and you take that little wisdom nugget and absorb it and go on about your day. What else? Yeah, the other thing, I'm saying this, so if I put it out there, I know that I'll do it, and it's my own verbal reminder to bring more yoga into practice, and stretching, and just being more active about doing that. And one who I just stumbled across her earlier in the month, actually during that first week of December. I think she's on YouTube, and she will do yoga videos, I think, every so often. I don't think it's like a daily thing or a weekly thing. What is it? Nourish Natasha? I think that's her name. Yeah. So I like it because she's just an average person and just doing some yoga, and she is not a waif, and she is very bendy and flexible, but still has her little wobbles and things, much like we all do, especially if you haven't done it in a while. And I like it. I watch it because I don't feel threatened by it and by her. And it's what yoga is supposed to be, and it's you do what your body wants you to do and what it's telling you to do. And it's not about bending your body in some crazy pretzel. And because with some yoga instructors, even though maybe they mean well, they just don't understand that not everybody's body is as bendy and flexible as theirs. And I'm relatively all right with my flexibility. Actually, I used to be a lot better, so I'm trying to get back into that again. But and even then, I just felt like there were some yoga teachers that were moving my body in ways that it did not want to be moved at all. But they wanted to force it, and that just did not make me or my body happy. So Nourish Natasha, if you're new to yoga, she's great to check out as a nice starting off point. Even if you know what you're doing, it'll serve as like a nice restoration type of yoga for you, even if you are a yoga guru. So take that and run. Something I thought about today. I wondered if I was sort of sad over Christmas yesterday. Not only because of my mom passing, but every year I notice that I do get kind of bummed out. Like, I get bummed out, like, the day after Halloween and the day after Christmas, Boxing Day, today, and also a little bit after New Year's Eve, like after the ball drops, and then, it kind of, there's a bit of a sadness after New Year's Day, like, January 2nd, like, because January 1st, at least in years past, I've either, like, been at a party or I was bartending, and I always had to work the Rose Parade, and that, I used to have to be at work at 4 in the morning, if not maybe a slightly before, and yeah, it was kind of brutal, especially if you picked up a shift the night before, and you had to bartend some New Year's Eve party until like 1 or 2 in the morning. I remember there was a year where all I did was go back home, take my shower, and run back out so I can go work at the Rose Parade. And then there was another year where I'm like, screw it, I'm just going to sleep in my car, and then I'll just go. And those were brutal. But yeah, I would have to bartend for a particular company that they would host for their employees and for their clients. And I was always up on the upper floor, which was for the VIPs, and I was able to overlook, at least where I was, they had like depending upon like which VIP floor you were on, you either had like a great view of the Rose Parade route, or you could go out on their balcony and like be outdoors and then watch the parade. And so that part was kind of cool. And then the hours, though, that wasn't. But luckily, depending upon where you were, it wasn't chaotic and crazy and packed with people. But I tell you what, my butt was dragging. Like, I'd say around like 7 in the morning, if I had to either bartend. Well, yeah, if I had to bartend the night before and I didn't sleep and all I did was maybe sleep for a couple hours or a half an hour, roll out, or whatever. If it was one of those like back-to-back work gigs, like around 7 a.m. is when I would hit my wall and I would get super tired or really loopy and goofy. Yes, usually around like 7:30. And then it was like the worst torture from like then until about, I'd say 8 or 9 o'clock. And it was rough, real rough. But then usually around like either 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock and into like that home stretch, I would just get that extra burst of whatever, because I could just see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it was almost quitting time. So yeah, wow, I haven't thought about that in a while. But yeah, those days were fun. Then usually I would go to a party for New Year's Day, and that was usually like in the afternoon. And luckily, the party I had to go to, or not had, because nobody has to go. Well, sometimes you'd have to go to a party. But anyway, this one, at least it was like about 10 minutes away from where I was already working, so I didn't have to drive too far. And I just changed my clothes and zipped on over there and would hang out and party with those guys until, actually, I thought that I would leave early, but they would just go and go and go until it was late at night. And usually about like 7 or 8 o'clock, I'm like, listen, I have got to leave. And but they would just like barbecue outside, and we're watching either the end of the parade or watching like some football game, or cool cartoon shows or variety shows. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed hanging out with those guys. Anyway, I hugely digressed. What was I talking about? Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm usually bummed like immediately after Halloween, immediately after Christmas, and a little bit after New Year's. And I say a little bit after New Year's because there's that, like New Year's Eve, hey, whoa, it's now the new year. But then, there's New Year's Day, and there's like fun stuff to do on New Year's Day. But so January 2nd, that's when I'm like, ugh. And I realize that and I don't get so bummed out after Thanksgiving. And I think because Thanksgiving is like sandwiched in between Halloween and Christmas and all the other like holiday festivities and stuff. So it's like Thanksgiving's just sort of like, oh, hey, here's another fun outing, here's another fun party or fun thing to do, or something else to get dressed up for, or something else to decorate. So I think what it is, and it just hit me today as I was driving, it's the anticipation and the day of. That is what I'm living for. And that's what's, for me, it's like, it's exciting and it's magical and there's like a different energy that's in the air. And not to be woo-woo with the energy, but you guys know what I'm talking about. There's, it's the energy, it's the spirit. It's the spirit of, the people that you encounter on the street, at the grocery store, people you know, people you don't, all of that. It's in the air, it's on TV, it's on the radio, all that. And then, when the holiday's over with, it deflates. And that's the part that I'm just like, And even as, like, Christmas week comes around, it's like, all right, well, let me just soak this all up and enjoy it while I can, because I know it's just going to, like, deflate and that bums me out, and I don't want to have to, like, think that way. But I was thinking that, there needs to be some sort of, like, a January holiday that has, like, fun times attached with it, or fun decor in some sort of way, because there's just too much of a stretch between New Year's Eve and Valentine's Day. And even Valentine's Day, it's like, it's not like it's a huge holiday, but it gives people something to like sort of look forward to. And whether they're single or they're not, it gives people like something to decorate or something to talk about, something to exchange, something to watch on TV, something to have a party around. You can theme things. And, I remember in college, I don't know why this thought just hit me, but I remember in college, I hosted a Pajama Jammy Jam, and it was around Valentine's Day, and what I did, wait a minute, did I do the Pajama Jammy Jam around then? I think I did, and it was, like a Valentine's Day, like Hawaiian luau. The only reason why I'm pausing is that I can't remember if I somehow tied it in with St. Patrick's Day too. Like, I did this after Valentine's Day, but before St. Patty's Day. No, I feel like it was around St. Patty's Day. Like, I was able to, like, tie all things together, and I called it a Pajama Jammy Jam, and people would wear their pajamas, or you can do, like a luau theme. Or maybe I had the Pajama Jammy Jam around Valentine's Day, and then for St. Patty's Day, like before that, that was the St. Patty's, like, Hawaiian theme. Yeah, that's what it was. So it was two separate parties that I threw. What was I talking about? Yeah, so I don't know if there is any sort of a holiday that can be created in order for people just to get that boost of, like, something. Because it's like mid-January, or like that third week of January. I mean, and not President's Day, because President's Day, it's like, okay, if you're in grade school or high school, you get that Monday off for President's Day, but I'm talking something that everybody can celebrate, or, the adults can do too. And I don't know what that is. I don't know what it can be, because it's January, but there needs to be something, because especially if you live in a snow-filled area, usually by that third week of January, you're like, all right, I've had it with snow, or I've had it with the cold, or I've had it with how gray everything looks, even if there's no snow on the ground, or how brown everything looks. Yeah. Anyway, if you have any ideas, let me know. So, for music recommendations, I'm going to throw a few of them out. Ricky Reed is the artist. Actually, it's Ricky Reed along with, like, a list of other people, and the song is called Real Magic. It's just a cool little ditty. I love it. John Legend, Recommend Us. Oh, wait, no, not Recommend. Remember Us. That's the name of the song. And actually, that was one of the songs that had me crying on Christmas. Priya Ragu. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Priya-R-A-G-U. The song is called Good Love. I don't know if it's Good Love or Good Love 2.0. But either way, it's another cool one. I think she's a new artist, and I dig it. My brother, he actually, when we were talking and exchanging information, I sent him my music list, and he gave me like a long list of his recommends, and it's long, like a lot long. The first one that I checked out, and actually I will use this week to sample everything that he sent to me, but so far I've listened to the very first one, and the artist, his name is Kevin Garrett. The song that I heard, it was called Refuse, and in parentheses, it's solo version, which I heard the other version with the other instruments, and I don't know, I can't remember if it's like a full band, orchestra, right now I can't remember, or choir, I don't know, but the solo version, I like it. I really, really like it. It's moving, and but it's very easy, it's very chill, and soulful, and yeah, it's the best way I can describe it. Just that very chill music. Not folk music, but just chill. And kind of, not a vibe type of music, but I don't know. You'll just check it out on your own. Ooh, this is huge. Well, actually, yeah, so I think it was yesterday or day before, I heard an interview that was given by, I'm trying to remember, Melissa Hayslip, who is the director of this documentary called Mr. Soul, and that's Mr. Soul with an exclamation mark. And Mr. Soul is this TV variety show that was on from 1968 to 1973, who was hosted, it was hosted by Ellis Hayslip. So yes, Melissa is Ellis's niece, and the other person that was part of this interview was Blair Underwood, who is the narrator in this documentary. And it sounded so cool, and I cannot recommend Mr. Soul enough. And it was basically like it televised a revolution, and it's like it featured it was like a black variety show. It's sort of, in the vein of like Dick Cavett, I would say. And it featured like literature, politics, poetry, music, and this was like on a national level. And of course, because it's successful, it can't stay around forever. But I can only imagine if the powers that be did not have fear of the black fist or a black face, or the black anything. I wonder if it had been able to stay on air a lot longer. I just wonder, like, what would the landscape of our America have looked like? It just, oh man, it looks so cool. And like, you'll see your their standbys, your regulars, but in their infancy, or they're not like them being children, but just like they're the beginnings of their career. You will see Patti LaBelle and Stevie, Harry Belafonte, James Baldwin, and more, so much more. And boy, just even looking at the trailer, it just looks so flippin' cool. So definitely check that out. If you go to, I think it's like MrSoulMovie.com, I believe that's the right web link, or the web information for that site. If nothing else, just Google Mr. Soul Movie, and it'll take you to their website. From there, you will be able to watch the documentary, and I believe it's free. So check that out. It'll be available for viewing Sunday, December 27th at 7 p.m. So check it out there. I don't know how long it'll be on that website, but that's where you can view it. So definitely check that out. Do your soul and yourself and your mind that nourishment that it needs. Do it a good favor and watch this documentary. So speaking of soul and all things funk related, a friend of mine sent me a link for this website, and it's for a radio station. It's called, I think it's funkyradio.com. And yes, funkyradio.com. And I believe it's based in Italy. And it is all things soul and funky stuff. And it sounds really, really cool. So if you want that as your background music, go to funkyradio.com. Again, keep it funky, people. And with that, I am going to go about my funky way and try to continue being productive and just feed my brain, feed my soul, and feed my tummy, because it is definitely past lunchtime. So, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Feel free to check out my YouTube channel. I will post clips on there, and the one that was taken down, because apparently it was in violation of things that were all things kind of salacious, which I was surprised about. And it's the one that just involved me showing a small clip of a classic car, how that is salacious, especially if I'm not cursing and all I'm saying is, oh wow, check out this really cool, beautiful car. This is awesome. It reminds me of The Muppet Show. Yeah, so that was interesting. So they took down that video, but I ended up fighting that, and I appealed it, and I won, and they put it up, and they apologized. So that's there now. Yeah, so check me out on my YouTube channel. Feel free to check things out on Podbean and comment, like, share it if you want. Again, use my voice as the dulcet tones in order to do your productive activities or your non-productive activities. Or if you just feel like falling asleep to my voice, I'm here for you. So with that, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Make sure you hydrate. Make sure that you learn some stuff. Make sure you move. Make sure you sleep. And make sure you enjoy your golden hour.